Chapter 9. The Price for Procrastinating.
"Watch out!" a silent voice hissed. "You almost tripped me." "It's not my fault. Apple let go of the branch and nearly hit me in the face,"
An equally quiet and angry voice retaliated.
"Don't y'all start blaming this on me. It's good as hope we're following this thing. Hey, I never said you guys had to tag along."
"Why is every pony whispering?" a slow male voice blurted out, not bothering whatsoever to hush his.
"Because, Snails, we're following the monster,"
was his harsh response.
"Now do us a favor and whisper for Pete's sake." "Oops, sorry."
2 hours. 2 hours of listening to their non-stop squabbling. 2 hours of painfully slow traversing through the woods. 2 hours of agony and suffering from my wounds. 2 hours of utter silence on my behalf. It was all right at first. The ponies were fairly silent for the better part of the first 30 minutes. Then their conversation slowly escalated into this mayhem, starting with petty apologies, then irksome complaints, and eventually ending with this chaotic criticism. These fools were driving me insane. "You're just lucky the monster's too stupid to know we're following it. Otherwise we'd all be done for." That was the straw that broke the camel's back. "On the contrary," I announced as I spun around in mid-stride, the faces of the 6 fools following me were priceless. "The monster is, in fact, fairly intelligent, and has had to endure your constant bickering for quite some time. And you ponies are starting to give the monster migraines. The monster has a lot on his mind right now, and would appreciate it if he could have some peace and quiet." The fools were absolutely speechless. I took the opportunity to examine my followers. The 3 cutie mark crusaders were among the group, of course, as were the 2 unicorn colts who did their report on the manticore. The little pink pony with the purple and white wavy mane and an elaborate tiara planted firmly on top of her eluded me, though. "You, knew we were following you?" Scootaloo timidly asked. "Of course I knew you were following me!" I shouted. "You fools are the noisiest things I've ever heard. I couldn't even turn you out." The 6 fools flinched at my outburst. Some of them had watery eyes. I suddenly felt stupid for yelling at them. "Look, I didn't mean to shout," I apologized. "It's just... I've been under a lot of stress lately, and I just need some time to think things through." I turned back and continued through, limping to my castle. It couldn't have been too far away by now. I thought I could hear the river nearby. "What kind of stress?" asked Sweetie Belle. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see her keeping her distance next to me. "None of your business," I deadpanned. Were these ponies still following me? "It was just a question," Sweetie Belle muttered as she retreated behind me. "You don't have to be so mean." I groaned. This was not at all part of my plan. Scootaloo suddenly piped up. "Hey, could you stand still for a sec?" I paused, not due to what she said, but because of how odd the request was. "Perfect! Just like that!" I swiveled my head, stared at the orange filly. She had her notebook out again and was trying to sketch a picture of me again. I watched over my shoulder as she balanced a pencil in her mouth and traced my figure onto the paper. It was fairly amusing how, even after all that had transpired, she was still trying to get a drawing of me. I had to give her props for commitment to her school project. The end result was pretty impressive by my standards. Then again, the best I could doodle was stick figures, so my 2 cents probably wasn't worth much. "Awesome." The little Pegasus beamed at her results and stuffed the notebook into her saddlebag. She looked at me expectantly. "Done yet?" I asked flatly. "Yep." I turned back around and started limping again. The faint sound of the foal's hooves stayed close by. When I turned around again, my followers were sitting around trying to avoid eye contact with me. This ritual repeated itself a few times before I finally decided to ask a question that had been bothering me. "Shouldn't you ponies, be heading back to Ponyville or something?" In response to my question, the Crusaders chuckled nervously. "Well," Applebloom started, "funny thing about that, we, don't exactly know where Ponyville is." The yellow and red filly tried to give an innocent smile. "You what?" the pink filly shouted. With surprising speed, she raced up to Applebloom with fright evident in her eyes. She planted her hooves on the yellow filly's shoulders and started shaking her crazily. "Do you mean to tell me that you 3 have absolutely no idea where we are right now?" Without giving Applebloom a chance to answer, or even recover from the sudden shaking, she started pacing around. "Oh, this is bad. Why did I even go with you, blank flanks? I should have gone with that crazy zebra instead." I watched in dull amusement as the pink filly continued her pacing. "Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with the talkative one on this one," I said to Applebloom. "This could have been planned out better." "Well, Scootaloo wanted a drawing of you, so we decided to follow her," Sweetie accused. She shrank away after receiving a leer from the mentioned Pegasus. "Well," she added, "that and we kinda thought you would help us get back, so—" "Would ya?" She and her fellow crusaders were adorning their faces with pleading eyes in a chorus of "Please." I started. "Sorry, I can't afford to make any detours. I'm kind of on a deadline." "Wait, you can't just leave us here by ourselves!" the pink one shrieked. "We've been lost in this stupid forest forever!" Her peers shouted in agreement. I held up my free hand defensively. "Don't get me wrong now. It's not that I don't want to help. It's just that I can't." I stole a glance at the sun, which was slowly inching closer towards the horizon, and continued limping. "I need to be somewhere soon, and I can't afford to be late." "Where are you going?" Applebloom asked as she hopped to my side. "Maybe we can help. We can get our cutie marks and, monster helpers." Scootaloo appeared on the other side of me. "Monster helpers? Really? Who'd want the cutie marks for something like that?" "Well, I can't think of anything else. What are we supposed to get our cutie marks in?" What about navigators?" I offered. The two fillies looked at me in confusion. "Or adventurers?" They redirected their confused looks to each other. "Sorry, I have no idea what we're talking about." "They're talking about cutie marks," the pink filly retorted. There was an awkward silence. For a second, I thought I could feel the foal's eyes boring into me. "Oh," I bluntly said. "Yeah, I knew that. I was just, making sure is all." I wanted to kill myself for that remark. It was too obvious that I was completely oblivious to the subject. I needed to change the conversation. "So, wonderful weather we're having?" "Really?" Scootaloo asked. "Wonderful weather we're having? That's not even worth a response."
Sheesh, and they called you mean.
"Well, looky who finally decided to show up," I thought out loud. "Who?" I blushed. It was hard for me to remember that I had company. Describing the whole voice inside my head concept would be a bit tricky to explain, and truthfully, I didn't want my mental state to be the topic of discussion. Nothing, just thinking out loud is all. Thankfully, the ponies bought it for the moment. However, I had a sickening feeling that this wouldn't be the last time that the voice would drop in on one of my actual conversations.
"Oh, so you mean that our conversations don't count?"
the voice asked in mock hurt.
"Hunter, we thought that you enjoyed our conversations."
"Well, I'm still not sure if they make me insane or not," I retaliated. "Besides, you're not exactly a good motivator."
"And yet you still make many decisions based on our judgment,"
the voice commented.
"Face it, Hunter. We have more influence over you than you would believe."
Hey, monster?" I turned to Sweetiebelle, who had popped up next to me. I was really going to have to lay down the line on this whole monster business. It was starting to get on my nerves. She was staring at my wounded leg while we were moving. "Why are you limping? Are you hurt?" I gave her the best "are you kidding me" look I could muster. "Seriously?" I asked, dumbfounded. "Did you not see what happened a while ago?" The white unicorn innocently shook her head. "Where the heck were you when those wolves attacked?" Oh, Snails and I saw it," the plump teal unicorn colt squealed. I raised an eyebrow at his interjection. "Oh, really? And exactly what, might I ask, did you see?" "It was awesome," the slim orange colt blurted. "When the timber wolves attacked, Snips and I ran into some bushes and hid. Miss Shirley and Lyra were freaking out and everything, and Sakura tried beating the wolves with a stick, which was pretty cool. Then we saw you jump out with your cool staff and everything and throw that one wolf out of sight." "Yeah!" his excited counterpart exclaimed. "Then you beat up that wolf that was bothering Sakura, and then we went into an all butt kicking on the other wolves." The teal unicorn made some kung fu motions. "Then that one wolf snuck up behind you and bit you in the leg like you weren't looking." The fillies gasped at the revelation. Snips and Snails nodded in affirmation. Snails picked up where his friend left off. "Yep, we saw it with our own very eyes."
The monster was tackled by the wolves and pinned against the tree. Then one of the wolves turned into this really big thing and started talking to the monster. Then it tried to kill him. Yet another chorus of gasps sounded. Snails was deep in his story. He seemed to forget that one of the characters was with him. I raised my voice to get the storyteller's attention. "All right, I think they get the picture." "Are Snips and Snails right?" Shooty asked. "Is that why you're limping?" I felt a bit ashamed. I didn't know why, though. I had no control over what happened, therefore there was no reason to feel this way. "Yeah." My voice trailed off a bit. "They're right. It's also why I'm using my staff as a crutch, if that's what you're wondering, too." "What's it look like?" Scootaloo piped up. "Your leg, that is. Can we see it?" "Why in Equestria would you want to see a wound?" the pink filly asked. I had to learn her name. "That's just disgusting." We had finally reached the river. I knew we would have to cross it to reach my castle, but I wasn't sure if I could make it with my new handicap. Actually, looking at my leg might not be a bad idea after all. With that, I slowly and painfully knelt down and pulled up my right jean sleeve. Everyone, myself included, gasped. The Timberwolf's teeth had definitely penetrated my skin. The gory image was a mixture of hemorrhaging blood and scattered scabs. I could see the crimson holes configured in a semicircle where the wolf bit me. "I think I'm going to be sick," Applebloom said, putting her hoof up to her mouth to prevent any vomiting. I rolled the sleeve back down as fast and carefully as I could. "Let's just pretend we didn't see that, okay?" I weakly offered. A few barely audible mm-hms escaped my audience. "Okay, let's cross us a river." What?" asked the bewildered pink filly. "You mean like swim across it?" "Well, naturally. Unless, of course, you can fly over to the other side. Is there a problem?" The filly's face flushed as she inched away from the river. "Well, no, not really. It's just that Oh my gosh!" Scootaloo smiled, trying horribly to stifle a laugh. "You can't swim, can you, Diamond Tiara?" The other foals looked at the pink filly in shock. I can too swim," she exclaimed in an undignified manner. "Prove it," Scootaloo challenged. "All right, I will." Diamond Tiara slowly stepped closer to the raging river. The look on her face betrayed her utter fear of the body of water. She slowly stuck a hoof in the water and recoiled from the movement when it made contact. She stole a glance towards us where we were all eagerly awaiting the outcome. She must have caught sight of Scootaloo's smug expression. "I said I can do it," she growled. Diamond Tiara stepped deeper into the water. Sweat from her face joined into the river as the water slowly inched up her legs.
"This is actually amusing,"
the voice admitted.
"The look on her face pleases us."
"You're not going all dark on me, are you?" I asked.
"Hunter, you judge us too harshly."
The water was now up to Diamond Tiara's chin. Her eyes were wide in fear. A miniature wave splashed up against her face. "I can't do it!" she screamed as she bolted out of the water. "Get it away! Get it away! Get it away!" When she was free of the river's grasp, she ran behind my legs and started shivering. Scootaloo busted out laughing. "You really can't swim!" she exclaimed while wiping a tear out of her eye. "Oh boy, this is too much!" The little Pegasus fell on her back and kicked in the air. The others were trying to conceal their snickers, each with varying degrees of success. I brought my hand up to my mouth to hide my smile. "Stop laughing!" Diamond Tiara demanded. "Why would I need to learn something as silly as swimming anyway? I don't need it, and it's stupid." Her outburst, however, did not have its intended effect. I waited for my face to recompose itself before talking. "All right, guys, calm down. We still need to cross this river." Diamond Tiara made a whimpering noise. "But," I added, "that doesn't require everybody swimming on their own accord. So, who here can swim?" Every hoof, save for the fillies behind me, instantaneously rose up. "What? You two numbskulls can swim?" she asked the two colts. Snails answered, "Yeah, our parents signed us up for swimming lessons once. Something about family bonding or something like that." Diamond Tiara looked grief-stricken at the revelation of being the oddball. Well, this is much better than what I expected, I thought out loud. Okay, you five who can swim, go on ahead. Dom and Tiara are going to catch up with you later. The 5 fillies saluted and started swimming.
Okay, Dom and Tiara said hesitantly. So, where's the bridge?
I looked at her in confusion, and then a knowing smirk crossed my face. Bridge? What bridge? If I knew about some sort of bridge, then I would have taken you all over there. It took the poor filly some time to register what I was implying, and when she did, her face was agape in pure horror.
You don't mean...
Yep. Welcome to your first swimming lesson, Diamond Tiara.
You're crazy! I'm not going in there!
You don't have to, I said as I scooped her up. My shoulders screamed in rebellion at their sudden burn, but I paid it as little attention as I could. I'm going to be swimming for you. All you have to do is try to not drown us. The pink filly gave an audible gulp. Okay, poor choice of words on my part, I said, trying to calm her. I should be able to carry you across, but you do need to try not to push me down, okay? She nodded in my arm, but the look on her face contradicted the gesture. I slowly started walking into the water. When the water was up to my waist, I gently placed her on my shoulders. My nerves screamed in pain as Diamond Tiara's legs shifted the scabs out of their place. I silently whimpered.
What's wrong? The filly asked. Are we going to drown?
No, I grumbled. Just a minor discomfort is all. The swim across was fairly easy. I found it difficult to swim with the wounds and added weight. Diamond's squirming didn't help much either. Nevertheless, we miraculously managed to make it across with only a minimal amount of water in my lungs. When we made it back ashore, Diamond Tiara scrambled off my back, ripping off any scabs that weren't already scraped off, and tried to get as far away from the river as she could. The other fools were patiently waiting for us.
So, Diamond Tiara, how was your swimming lesson? Applemoon asked as we started walking in.
I don't have to tell you anything, blank flank, the still-soaked Diamond Tiara snapped. I could feel the tight tension in the air. I put myself between the two ponies before anything could break out. All right, that's enough, I said. We've all been through a lot today, and we're a bit stressed, but fighting amongst ourselves isn't going to make anything better. I recognize this part of the forest. A smile crept its way on my face. Besides, we're already here. The old ruins of the castle came into view. The fools gasped in shock.
Do you mean you actually lived here?
Sweetie asked in surprise. Well, yeah, I answered. What's the big deal?
You live in the ancient castle of the Royal Pony Sisters?
Snails asked. He didn't even give me a chance to smile before saying,
Cool. I bet I can beat you to the castle, Snips challenged. You're on!
With that, the two colts raced ahead of us. The ancient castle of the Royal Pony Sisters? Gosh, now that I knew what it was called, I kind of resented living here. I hate to judge by name, but that didn't exactly sound, well, masculine.
As if that would have made any difference when you first found it,
the voice commented.
This place was a beacon of hope to you. You'd have stayed here regardless of whatever it was called.
Yeah, true, I agreed. I guess it doesn't really matter what it's called. What the hell are you talking to? I gave the yellow filly an odd look, and then remembered again that the voice was in my head. No one, I lied. Let's cut a trail before Snips and Snails get lost in the castle. I hobbled across the bridge before she or anybody else could ask any more questions. Behind me, I could hear the Crusaders mumbling quietly to themselves. I couldn't make out just what they were saying, but the paranoid side of me had a few suggestions. The two colts were arguing at the front door. Apparently, they had tied, but neither party was willing to admit to it. I carefully avoided the heated debate and pushed open the heavy wooden doors. The doors squeaked loudly on their hinges, drowning out Snips and Snails and leading the way for the silence that ensued. I turned around to find that the foes were staring at the entrance with uncertainty, as if they were actually scared. I tried to lighten the mood with a smile. Well, now, where's my southern hospitality? Come on in, make yourselves at home. The offer didn't have much of an effect at first, but Scootaloo bravely stepped forward and entered the castle. Her friends followed soon after. I shut the door as the last of the foals entered. They gawked at the first room. Some of their eyes drifted to the non-existent ceiling and empty windows. Others were focused on the greenery that littered the area. Sorry about the mess. I wasn't expecting visitors, and is that where the elements of harmony were? Asked Sweetie Belle. She was pointing out the strange pedestal on the sphere in the back of the room. The elements of harmony? I repeated. My question, however, was gone unnoticed by the fools who were too busy rushing up to the alien monument to pay me any mind. There are plenty of oohs and ahs going around the group. The fools were practically drooling over it as if it were the world's most delicious candy. Questions such as, is this really where they were? How cool would it be if they were still here? And, do you think this is where Rainbow Dash was? Could be overheard from my distance. I was intrigued at how much they seemed to know about this oddity and tried asking my question again. Elements of harmony? The fools paused and their actions gave me a funny look. What is? I added. I felt stupid under the confused gaze. Apparently, this was common knowledge to them. You don't know what the elements of harmony are? Diamond Tiara asked. It was hard to register the look on her face. It was either disbelief or skepticism. The elements of harmony are one of the most magical things in Equestria, Sweet exclaimed. They represent the 6 elements of friendship. Yeah, Apple Bloom agreed. Honesty, kindness, generosity, loyalty, laughter, and magic. Were you living under a rock your whole life? Scootaloo pitched in. She received a few criticizing stares. What? Everyone was thinking it, she muttered. It's fine, I assured. I just haven't ever heard of them before. How could you have never heard of them before? Diamond Tiara asked in a know-it-all fashion. Well, I just haven't. I shifted uncomfortably under their stupefying gaze. My wounds started aching again. Well, I'm going to my room, so... Yeah. I slowly limped towards the stairwell, praying that the fools would be too occupied to accompany me. Can we see your room? Scootaloo hopefully asked. So much for that plan. The sun was getting closer to the horizon. I probably only had a few more hours until nightfall. There was no way I'd be able to bring the fools back to Phoneville and go to the portal at the same time. Not with the slow regeneration from the potion and time it would take to actually find the portal. I was already cutting it close to Diamond Tiara's little swimming adventure. Sure, I finally said. Just don't mess with anything you're not supposed to. The fools burst through the throne room entrance when we reached the top of the stairs, eager to examine the new environment. As I scurried around to look out windows or play tag between the columns, I hobbled to the throne where my medicine humbly waited. However, before I had the chance to even pick it up, an orange and purple blur snatched it. What's this? Scootaloo asked. She shook the vial wildly next to her ear and tried fumbling with the cork lid. Don't mess with that! I snatched the bottle from her mouth and examined it for any damage. Relief flooded me when only a few scratches were found. Thank goodness, I breathed. Hey, what was that for? The little Pegasus demanded. I was looking at that. I gave her an incredulous look. She backed up and chuckled. Oh, was I not supposed to touch that? I didn't even dignify her question with a response. Instead, I drank the bitter medicine and sat down on the throne, waiting for the potion to take its effect. The fools gathered before me. I stuffed the cork back into the lid. Can I help you? I asked. What was that? Snips asked. What was what? That thing you drank, Sweetie Belle answered. Oh, that. It's just some medicine Zecora gave me. What does it do? Apple Bloom persisted. You're an inquisitive little bunch, aren't you? They didn't respond immediately. I continued. Well, I don't know exactly what it does or how it doesn't, but this medicine heals my wounds. It takes a while, so I'm going to be sitting here for the time being. Anything else? The fools were silent. A few of them rubbed their chins with their hooves. Can you tell us a story? Sweetie Belle blurted. A story? I echoed. The white filly nodded her head rapidly, causing a curly mane to bounce up and down. Her friends didn't seem to object, and they enthusiastically nodded too. Why on earth would you want to hear a story of all things? From me, even. I want to know what kind of stories monsters tell, Sweet explained. So, can you? Her friends tried persuading me to. I was soon overwhelmed by their pleas. All right, geez, I'll tell you a story. My audience cheered up at being able to hear a monster story. But before we start... The fools paused and eagerly leaned in. I would appreciate it if you didn't call me a monster. Monster doesn't exactly boost my self-esteem. I'd appreciate it if you called me by my name. You have a name? Diamond Tiara asked incredulously. I quelled the desire to kick her out of the window for her comment. Yes, Diamond Tiara, I retaliated, putting as much venom in her name as I could. Despite popular belief, humans do have names, and I don't exactly like being called a monster or a beast. Well, what is your name? Asked Sweetie Belle. I was getting to that, I sighed. I outstretched a hand to my audience. Name's Hunter, or, if you want to be formal, you can call me Mr. Gray. The fools were reluctant to shake my open hand, and instead came up with another question. Snails tilted his head and asked, What's a human? I exhaled. Look, do you guys want to hear a story or a history lesson? The fools were eager to ask for the former. Right, so... Decisions. I drummed my fingers on the armrest. You guys have any criteria? I was given a blank stare. Okay, let's try that again. Is there anything particular you want in this story? Specifically. Scootaloo jumped into the air. Oh, make it adventurous with a lot of flank kicking action. A story with a hero, obviously, Diamond added. Make a story with an interesting twist, Owl offered. Do something with lasers, Snips exclaimed. Snips nodded with his friend. Yeah, and give the hero super cool, awesome powers. And a happy ending, Sweetie chimed in. I drummed my fingers harder. That definitely narrowed it down, I muttered. I was never much of a storyteller, more of a story listener. I wasn't sure if I could come up with anything that would meet all of their needs. A sly smile came upon my face as the story did come to mind. Yes, this one would work perfectly. I've watched it enough times that I probably knew it by heart, too. I think I might just have something, I grinned. Now, it's going to be hard to explain in some parts because I've only seen the movies, but it's better than nothing. My audience sat down and leaned in close. So, it all happened a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. The fools loved it. They watched in curiosity and awe as I made some body motions to help depict some of the scenes and characters. It was difficult at first to explain the concept of the Force, the Jedi, and the Sith, but they seemed to catch on pretty quickly. They didn't ask too many questions throughout the story, so I guess I was doing a fairly decent job at storytelling. Then again, they might have just been saving any further questions for the end. I tried to mimic some of the characters' voices to the best of my abilities and even stood up about halfway through the story to put on a one-man play. The fools loved Jar Jar Binks from the laughs I got whenever I impersonated him. I couldn't blame them. He was one of my favorites, too. If the fools were in any seats, they would have been on the edges by the time I reached the confrontation of Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul. Several gasps were heard when I told them of Qui-Gon's demise, even more when I told them of Obi-Wan's reaction. Their mood, thankfully, lightened up at the end when the droid army was defeated. As I finished the story, they looked as if they could fall asleep on the spot. Their eyes were flickering open and close. Hunter? Applebloom asked when I finally ended the story. I stifled a yawn. Yes, Applebloom? Why did Qui-Gon and Darth Maul have to die? Well, Darth Maul killed Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan got his revenge. But why? She looked up at me with tired eyes. In those reddish-orange eyes, I saw genuine curiosity. She honestly didn't know. Because, I replied, trying to think of a good reason as I spoke, Darth Maul was evil and he killed Qui-Gon's master. But did he have to die? I looked at Applebloom in confusion. Her other friends were lying around, fast asleep. She was about to join them in the wonderful world of dreams. I mean, sure, he did some horrible things, but why did Obi-Wan kill him? I thought the Jedi were the good guys. Hers started to droop. I turned and let her lie down with her friends. Well, no, I guess he didn't have to kill him, I said. Applebloom yawned and stared up at me. Then why did he? There were a few seconds of silence as I tried to construct an appropriate answer. I guess it was 'cause he was angry, maybe even scared. Sometimes people make bad decisions when they're angry or scared, I whispered. Go to sleep now. I'll see you in the morning. Hunter, what happens to Anakin? I smiled. That is a story for another time. Good night, Apple Bloom. I sat back on my throne and relaxed. The tired pony's yellow body shifted into a more comfortable position. Good night, Hunter. A response. I got a response. Tears made their paths down my cheeks. A response! I wasn't alone. I had friends.
We do so hate to ruin a beautiful moment like this,
The voice interjected.
but what exactly did you say to Apple Bloom?
I said good night. The word caught itself in my throat. I said good night. I was suddenly aware of how dark it was. With a sudden burst of speed, I rushed over to the nearest window. It was pitch black. I was far past my deadline. In the distance, a wolf's howl pierced the darkness. A shudder coursed down my spine as I staggered back to my throne. What was I going to do now? I was going to be hunted like an animal. I could never survive an attack from the Timberwolves. And the foals. What was I going to do with them? I couldn't keep them here. They had actual lives in Ponyville. I couldn't send them alone through the woods either. As of not knowing where they were, there was still the issue with the wolves. I was not about to have their blood on my hands for sending them alone. No, I had to do something.
Hunter, you better not be thinking what we think you're thinking.
Sorry, voice, I mumbled as I sat back down on my throne. My decision is final. I'm not about to let the ponies get slaughtered. I took a deep breath for what I was about to say. Tomorrow, we're going to Ponyville, even if it kills me.
That is what we were afraid of.
The soft rain gently poured down over my head. I lifted my hood to shelter my eyes from the water as I carefully navigated through the dense plant life of the forest with my staff. Deja vu. No better term could describe the feeling. I was running, walking actually, for my life as fast as I could from a hidden enemy. There was absolutely no way of knowing where they were. They could be behind me, behind that bush up ahead of me, or they could be as far away as the castle. No one could tell. Did we have to get up so early? Scootaloo complained. Behind me lagged the 6 foals. They were barely awake, despite being woken up nearly an hour ago. I never told them the reason for our hasty departure, just that it was urgent and we needed to go as soon as possible. So far, we had made it past the river and were making good time. Ponyville was probably only a half hour away. Yes, we did, I replied. I thought it would be a good idea to go early in the morning, while everything should still be asleep. A twig snapped off to my left. I immediately halted, much to the displeasure of the foals following me, and listened for anything else that would imply danger. Nothing other than the rain and the occasional coo of the morning birds could be heard. I coughed and continued onward. Is something wrong, Mr. Gray? Sweetie asked with concern. I stole a glance at her. She was so young, so small, so innocent. A mental image of her broken and bloodied body came up. I shuddered and wiped away a tear. No, I was not going to let that happen to any of them. Everything's fine, I lied in an attempt to reassure her. I'm just a bit spooked. Some bushes up ahead rustled. I prepared myself for whatever unholy monstrosity was about to spawn out of its protection. A squirrel. Just a squirrel. I sighed in relief and mentally slapped myself for being so paranoid.
Do not be so harsh on yourself, Hunter,
the voice said.
Your paranoia and instinct will ultimately be the sole cause of your survival. Never let them go.
The voice wasn't entirely happy with my plan. In fact, it was one of the reasons why I didn't get any sleep last night. That and, of course, the fact that I was being hunted. I never took my eyes off the door in fear that, when I did, a wolf would charge in. Does this have anything to do with you missing your deadline? Deadline. Such an appropriate term. Yes, I suppose you could say that. We're really sorry we made you miss it. I sighed. It's not your fault. If anything, it's mine. But that's all water under the bridge now. We've got bigger problems. Problems? Diamond echoed. What kind of problems? Should I tell her? No. That'll probably complicate things. Don't worry. Everything should be fine. My response, however, was not very reassuring. I could hear the ponies nervously whispering amongst themselves. They were on edge. Good. That might be handy if things ended badly. The closer we got to Ponyville, the more my paranoia shifted focus. I was no longer fearful of the Timberwolves. No. Now I was afraid of the ponies. Would they accept me if I brought back the missing foals? Probably not. Twilight might have concocted some wild idea that I kidnapped them. I wouldn't go back in the forest after this trip. I refused to do otherwise. The forest was no longer a sanctuary. It had become a death trap. Another twig snapped. It was probably just the wildlife again. But the panting, too? No. I must have been imagining that. I had to be imagining that. We were so close. Okay, guys, let's pick up the pace, I said. We're getting close. Just a few... The wind was knocked right out of my body. I was bluntly aware that the world had been turned upside down. Through the harsh ringing in my ears, I thought I heard one of the fools cry out my name. It didn't matter, though. I was lifted up by sharp fingers and pushed against a tree. 2 luminescent dots on a brown canvas. That's all I saw until my vision sharpened. Slowly, the blurry lines on the brown canvas formed the twigs in the shape of a snarling face of an old man. The 2 glowing eyes were fixed onto mine. I wanted to back away, but the tree behind me was obstructing my escape. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see the foals huddled around each other as a Timberwolf circled around them.
You dare have the audacity to refuse my offer, the wooden man growled. I promised safe return to your home world so that you could no longer interfere with the course of events here. And you have the nerve to spit in my face and go directly to the nearest pony settlement with 6 foals?
His grimace slowly turned into a sinister smile.
Oh, you have made a grave mistake, human. I was originally going to give you a painless execution, but now...
He threw me in the middle of the path. His body towered over mine. His sheer presence had me paralyzed in fear.
Now I will ensure that your death is slow and painful. Your torture will be monumental. Yes, I shall enjoy this greatly.
A hoarse laugh came from his throat as he lifted a claw/hand.
Such a fitting end for a worm like you.
I closed my eyes as his razor-like fingers sliced through the air towards me. Hunter! No! My eyes snapped back open. Everything moved slowly, as if in a frame-by-frame play. The wooden man's arm had almost completed its deadly descent. A blur of orange and purple put itself between us. The wooden man attempted to correct his trajectory in that one short second, but he was too late. I could do nothing but stare in utter horror as the blur took the blow meant for me. 1 second. That was how long it took. Yet it still felt like an eternity. It's funny how the human brain perceives time in the man's most critical of moments, isn't it? It took but 1 measly second for every detail to be burned into my brain. Arcs of crimson outlined the razor's fingertips, altered path as it slashed through the orange hide. In slow motion, the poor orange body was batted aside by the blow. It fell in a limp heap to the side, motionless. A soft moan escaped the pile, slowly turning to a weep. My mind shut down on me as I stared at the mass. I could hear the wooden man growl above me.
Duh! This is your fault! Because of your murdering, this pony has been harmed. Her blood is on your hands, human. None of this would have happened if you...
His voice slowly disappeared in the chaos thrashing around in my head. The earth was shaking. I could feel flames licking against my body. Or was that just my vision was faltering and body heat rising in anger? It was hard to tell, but it didn't matter at the moment. All that did was the moaning and sobbing orange mass that was once known as Scootaloo. She tried to protect me. She tried to protect me. I was supposed to be protecting her. But this thing, this abomination... You hurt her. What was that? I tilted my head to look up at the monster. I didn't care that rain was pelting my face. It was unimportant compared to what had just transpired.
You hurt her?
The headache had returned. I could feel it radiate heat inside my skull to complement the rest of my body. My face twitched every now and then, the channel of the psychotic rage built up inside of me.
Ah, the sweet taste of life,
the voice mused.
We almost forgot what it was like.
The wooden man laughed at me.
I hurt her? Foolish human! You are the paramount reason of her condition. You hurt her?
I repeated. I could have sworn I heard something snap in the back of my head as the madman's laughter bellowed from the psychotic smile that cracked my face. Suddenly, I became a puppet, a mere passenger inside my own body. A primal scream escaped my lips.
We will murder you!
In a sudden burst of strength and speed, I shot up and tackled the wooden man. He was caught by surprise. Heck, I was too. The humanoid stumbled backwards and fell on his back. My body suddenly lunged at him while he was in his dazed state.
Oh, how the tables have turned!
I laughed.
Now, it is your turn to feel fear.
With ferocity like I never knew I had, my body thrust my bare hands at the monster's chest and tore apart any loose twigs and branches they could grasp. I was numbly aware of the pain dealt towards me as my hands scraped against the wooden body. Crimson blood and golden sap began to mix in my hands.
We will tear you twig by twig, branch by branch, until there is nothing left of you other than a pile of scrap wood and sap.
My voice bellowed.
We will burn your remains and dance in your ashes for the pain you have given Hunter. We will kill you for all the pain you have given him, and through him, us. We shall stay silent no longer. Now we unleash our sorrows. Get off of me, demon.
The wooden man pushed me with enough force to keep me airborne for a few seconds. Lightning cracked the sky in brilliant streaks, causing a clap of thunder to shake the air and raise my bones. The rain had reached a crescendo and was beginning to soak my body through the layers of clothes. I got back on shaky feet as soon as I recovered from the impact with the damp earth. My adversary was back on his feet too, clutching at his chest where slap bled slowly.
What's the matter, old-timer?
I demanded.
Too afraid of the monster?
I took a few uncertain steps forward as the insane laughter came from my mouth. Was the earth trembling again? Was everything slowly fading in and out of darkness, or was it just my eyes playing tricks on me? I was slowly losing my hold on reality. Despite my strange surge of energy, everything began going in and out. One moment that I was attacking the wooden man, the next I was trying to pry the head off of a prone timber wolf. I was forgetting. The intervals of nothingness began ousting those of consciousness. Throughout my crisis, I could hear the madman's laughter, the same laughter that I heard in my nightmares. My headache flared, trying to prevent me from remembering the task at hand. I couldn't allow it to force me into submission. I wouldn't allow it to. That filly, Scootaloo. She was hurt. I needed to help her. I needed to escort her and her friends back to their homes, no matter what the cost. Another glimpse of consciousness came. I grabbed it with all of my willpower, but something was trying to push me back into my own mind. This would not be tolerated. This was my body. I was not some puppet for someone or something else to control. I was in control. The first sense that welcomed me back to reality was nauseousness. My vision was hazy and unfocused as the world spun around me. A dull pain had conquered most of my body. I was breathing heavily for some reason.
Mercy. Please, have mercy.
I stared at my hands in confusion. The wooden man was gasping for air through his broken face. His torn up, sap-covered chest rose up and down at irregular intervals.
Please, mercy,
he breathed again. I released him from my grasp and stood up from my crouching position. My palms were an intense shade of scarlet. I backed away and fried with the vibrant red, but the color still followed me. What had happened?
That was a very interesting experience,
the voice said. I could easily detect the relish in his voice.
We cannot wait to try it again.
Cannot wait to try what again? I couldn't remember anything. Only anger and fear and laughter. My headache slowly faded away, giving me a sweet sense of relief. I could hear movement before me. The wooden man was standing, doubled over, clutching his bleeding chest. He took in deep gasps of breath through his shocked face. I was too stunned from my reawakening to react in time. In one motion, the human raised a leg and kicked me with enough force to send me flying for a few yards. My head connected with the back of a tree. Pain more severe I had experienced in the weeks being here started to make me lose hold of consciousness again.
This is not over, human,
he snarled.
Mark my words. We will meet again.
With that, he transformed back into a wolf and ran/limped away. So much red. I couldn't think with the vibrant color assaulting my vision. The rain pelted my hood from above, causing the white noise to drown out most other noises. I reluctantly tore my gaze away from my hands to assess my surroundings. Thick drops of rain thinly veiled the world around me. Shapes were hard to recognize. Only colors could be perceived at the moment. It was mostly green, the colors, save for a small blotch of pink, yellow, teal, white, and orange. The 5 colors were huddled close. With nothing better in mind, I stumbled towards the colors. Slowly, the equine shapes registered in my brain. The colorful splotches were 5 of the 6 foals I was escorting to Ponyville. Their backs were turned towards me. They were obviously not paying any mind to me, but instead something that was between them. "It's okay, Scootaloo," Applewoman said in a soothing tone. "We're going to get you to Ponyville Hospital and get you all fixed up." "It hurts," Scootaloo wailed in response. I pushed through the small crowd and stared in dread at the little orange filly. Her once pure orange coat was soaked in crimson around 4 slits in her chest. Her tears mixed with the rainwater as she loudly sobbed. Her mane was covered in grime. "Where is it?" I bluntly asked. "Where's what?" "The hospital. Where is it?" "It's all the way up in Ponyville," Applebloom answered, never taking her tear-filled eyes off her fallen friend. "But I don't think we can make it in time." Sweetabelle lied down next to Scootaloo, trying to calm the filly's sobs of pain despite being unable to hold back her own. Snips and Snail stood stupidly to the side, unsure of what to do. I could easily see the worry in their black eyes. They badly wanted to help, but didn't know how to. Diamond Tiara was trotting in place, actually looking worried. Her eyes darted around, searching in the vicinity for something that would help the bleeding filly. I took off my jacket, turned it once again into a makeshift cradle, similar to the one I used to carry Fluttershy, and gently moved Scootaloo inside of it. She wailed in protest as my hands accidentally rubbed against her wounds. With great caution, I lifted her and cradled her fragile body in my arms. Her head turned over, revealing the agony in her face as she buried it in my chest, and cried harder. There, I whispered. "I'm going to make everything better. I promise." "We may not be able to," I said grimly, "but we sure aren't giving up without trying. Let's go!" I barely gave them enough time to follow me as I thundered through the forest. My muscles ached from the exercise. I suddenly realized that more happened to me during my blackout than I had originally thought. My left leg was torn up. Blood soaked the 4 long tears near the shin. Fire raced up my nervous system with each step I took. My right arm was bruised. It ached from the burden of the small wounded Pegasus in my arms. I realized that I had yet to trip from the small moans of unconsciousness running due to my pain in my head. I found it hard to breathe. My esophagus was dry and clogged, causing me to violently hack up mucus. "It hurts," Scootaloo cried again. "Make it stop." "Don't worry, little pony. Everything will be okay," I tried. The Pegasus cried harder. "The pain is just natural. It means you're still alive. Hold on to it right now, and whatever you do, do not try to sleep." We burst through the forest border. Lightning arced through the sky and thunder boomed. Rain pelted the 2 of us. Ponyville was within sight. It was at that moment that I realized how half-baked my plan was. I had no idea where the hospital was, and I had accidentally left the foals behind. There were they were the only ones who could direct me to the hospital, unless I felt like running around blindly through the village. No, I couldn't do that. Not with Scootaloo's life on the line. A tiny voice spoke from my arms. Hunter? Yes, Scootaloo? The filly coughed in my chest. For a monster, you're pretty cool. I couldn't hold back the tears any longer. I fell on my knees and sobbed. It's going to be okay, Scoots, I promise. I won't let anything happen to you. Please, just don't leave me. I pulled her close into my chest, hoping that through some miracle it would heal her. It was getting harder to breathe with the lump in my throat. This was unfair. She wasn't supposed to be like this. I was. Hunter! An urgent voice cried. I snapped my head away from the filly. The other foals had finally caught up with us. What do we do now? Apple Bloom asked. I stood up and recomposed myself and glared at the village. The ponies were probably all awake right now. The hospital, for all I knew, could have been on the other side of town. Was I willing to risk going through all of those ponies and being captured? Scootaloo moaned again. Yes, it was definitely worth the risk. Alright, listen up, I announced. I have no idea where the hospital is, but you do. I'm not sure how much time Scootaloo has left, so we're going to have to be quick about this. Apple, Sweetabelle, and Diamond Tiara, you guys try to get any friends of Scootaloo's, friends, family, whatever. They're going to want to know what happened. Snips, Snails, the two colts saluted at the sound of their names. You two are going to lead me to the hospital. You guys know your way around better than me. Everybody clear on what to do? The foals erupted in shouts of acclamation. Scootaloo weakly groaned. Alright, let's get this show on the road. We immediately split up, each going our predetermined ways. I followed Snips and Snails with ease. They were fast, but fairly slow compared to what I could do if I didn't have to rely on them for directions. Ponies became more and more frequent as we drew closer to the village, as did the shrieks of terror. By the time we entered Ponyville, everything had fallen into complete pandemonium. Chaos, mayhem, bedlam. Whatever noun you wanted to use, I could hear a few snippets of the pony's cries. It's the monster! Every pony run for your lives! The horror! The horror! What did it do to that poor filly? Is that blood? It's chasing those colts! Do something!
Snips and Snails suddenly stopped at an intersection. I nearly trampled them.
The hospital is that way!
Snips yelled, pointing his hoof down one of the paths.
No, it's the other way!
Snails retaliated in anger, pointing his hoof in the complete opposite direction. I stared in disbelief at the two. Were they arguing about this now of all times? How could they not know where the hospital was? They've freaking lived in this mad town. Maybe I should have told the others to lead me to the hospital. Scootaloo groaned again. Make it stop, she pleaded. With no idea as to which of the two colts was correct, I blindly chose one of the two paths, praying that it would be the right choice. I thundered down the streets. The ponies were more than eager to make way for me. Hunter, I'm getting tired. Can I go to sleep? No, I shouted. Don't fall asleep. You might not wake up. Think about your friends. What will they do if you're gone? You will not give up on them. You will not give up on me. I made you a promise, and gosh darn it, I'm going to keep it. Up ahead, I could see a large building, roughly 3 stories tall. It was only my best guess that this was the hospital. A red circle with a white cross and 4 pink hearts marked the sign before it and the top of the building. Without wasting any time to study it further, I raced to the front door. There was no time to enjoy the momentary bliss of being out of the downpour as I reached the front door under the overhang. I had a sickening feeling that the true storm resided inside. I must have been quite the sight to the ponies inside. It was definitely a hospital. I could tell by the familiar smell. The ponies inside were frozen and stared at the figure in the doorway, soaked to the bone and carrying a crying Pegasus on the verge of death. I charged up to the front counter where a white pony with a pink mane styled in a bun and a white hat with a red cross on it. I gently deposited Scootaloo on her desk. I could barely get the words to stumble out of my mouth. This pony needs help. She was attacked by a wolf-man thing and has 4 large cuts on her torso. She needs medical attention. Now! The nurse was quick to respond. She seemed completely oblivious to me as she called out for one of the doctors. Within seconds, Scootaloo was placed on a gurney and rushed to some far-off place in the hospital. My surge of energy disappeared with the crying Pegasus.
My wounds were finally starting to take their toll. I staggered over to a nearby wall and planted my hands against it for support with my back facing the rest of the room. I struggled to find breath. My throat was dry and sore. My eyes went in and out of focus. Through all of the pain, though, I smiled. I did it. I saved her. She was going to be all right. Something punctured my back. Something small and thin. One might dare say needle-like. I stood frozen in horror as the foreign object ignored my jacket and shirt and went directly into my skin. I didn't dare move, not even when the liquid fire burned my insides around the point of impact. I silently screamed on the inside. When the object withdrew, I turned around. There stood the white and pink pony who was at the desk, shaking almost as bad as I was. She stared at me with wild and frightful eyes. In her mouth was a syringe barely filled with green liquid. It didn't take the great Sherlock Holmes to know why it was only partially filled. I darted out of the still open door and back into the raging storm. The pony injected something inside of me. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I would soon find out. It could have been a poison. It could have been something that would slowly kill me off. It could have been something that would eat me from the inside out. My imagination ran wild at all of the possibilities and pain-filled scenarios. Most of the ponies had vacated the streets. I stumbled around trying to put as much distance as I could between me and the hospital. I was feeling lightheaded and my body was heating up. My eyesight was failing me yet again, only this time it didn't seem to be returning to a working state. My sense of balance was thrown off, and I soon found myself crawling on my hands and knees.
Well, 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 look who we have here.
A sky-blue mass materialized before me. I could barely lift my head enough to see the equine blur before me.
It's payback time,
it said. I could hear a soft thump, like a fist hitting an open palm. Enemy, I thought. Run. I tried to scramble away on my hands and knees until something bound itself around my neck. I gasped for breath as the object constricted my airflow. Where are you going to go now, partner? Another voice asked. Despite the familiar sounds of the voices, I couldn't find the brain power to connect a name to each voice. A silver blur positioned itself before me. Behind it, I could make out a pink blur standing there. The two colors brought back painful memories of my first visit to Ponyville. They were not a good combination. Every time I saw them together, I wound up covered in confetti and streamers.
You weren't about to leave just yet, were you?
It asked, though I could not tell if it came from the pink blur or the silver.
No, not like this,
the voice growled.
You are not going down in such a pathetic manner. Stand up and fight.
I silently obeyed. However, when I finally managed to get on both feet, the constriction around my neck pulled me backwards. I fell on my back, clutching at the rope-like thing that was wrapped around my neck. Drops of liquid pelted my face from above. It's okay, girls. Nurse Redheart informed me that she drugged the beast with the sleeping medication back at the hospital. It should pose not too much of a threat now. That voice I could definitely remember. It was the same voice that haunted most of my nightmares. It was the same voice of the one pony that I feared. A purple blur stuck its head above me. For a second, my eyes refocused to allow me to see the face of my downfall. A very smug Twilight stared happily down at me. Isn't that right, monster? She cheerily asked. My breathing became frantic. I tried to lift an arm, but only succeeded in raising it halfway before it fell limply back to my side.
That's what I thought. You and I are going to have a busy day tomorrow. I can't wait to get to know more about you.
Twilight's sarcastic smirk was the last thing I saw before falling into sleep's black void.